Boundaries, how to set them, what are they, how to follow them, everything and more. Welcome back to the Daily Dean. So, boundaries, they're excellent examples of ways to be a good human being to your fellow human beings, aliens excluded, but there's some complications with it that are, unheard rules or some things that need to be pointed out. So, the most plain way of thinking about a boundary are just social norms. If you're, regular Joe, then you realize that, you shouldn't, if you're a teenager, most importantly, you realize you probably shouldn't curse in front of adults who, may have different views than you and may not find that very respectful. Now, that is a social norm that manifests itself as a boundary that impacts how you behave and how you treat others and how you treat adults and what image you want to give off. Now, the interesting thing is that you don't have to agree with the boundary in order to follow it, right? It would be wonderful if you agreed with the boundary, but, just respecting someone else's, beliefs is a form of being a good person. And I realize I keep saying that, but that's besides the point. Number 2, boundaries in your relationships. Boundaries are naturally things that are, kind of, once again, unspoken of, but it's nice to set them. For example, if, you're busy throughout the day, maybe you have to tell your significant other, hey, I can't really talk right now, I'm kind of busy. Boom, boundary set, and then you just, clear it up. Yeah, I'm at work, I'm exercising, I'm at school, I'm doing my homework. Any other thing that is related to needing to alter someone else's behavior towards you in order to make your life better. And now that is not toxic because this is a temporary adjustment to somebody's actions that you just have to respect. And especially because talking and, other things like public displays of affection you may not be comfortable with, and other things that make, talking and all these boundaries consensual. Now, there's nuance to every relationship that these just become rules of thumb that, I wouldn't be able to give you great super duper advice without knowing you and your relationships personally, but that's arrogant to say, I realize as I'm saying that out loud, but, besides that, there's still, great rules to follow like I'm just going over right now. So, boundaries are consensual because you agree on them and you find them, those boundaries that you talk about are consensual because you agree upon them, you discuss them, you have a dialogue about it, and you communicate. Communication is important. Communication is how you set things, set expectations and what you want from them. Because you don't want something that, you don't want to change somebody's innate behavior because that's not, you can want to change them, but they're not going to unless they want to. So a better way of phrasing that is you shouldn't expect to change someone's behavior. You should expect them to respect you, but you shouldn't expect them to follow you and listen to your every demand, because just as your life is as complicated as, everything you could ever know, their life is just as complicated, right? Everything they do and everything they've experienced is on the same magnitude and grandiose scale as everything you've experienced. And so that leaves a lot of wiggle room for, I don't have the same beliefs as you, or I don't feel the same way as you. But assuming, once again, that we're all communicating and we're all, wanting everyone to be happy and stuff in a perfect world, boundaries are followed no matter what, right? This would be a great time to discuss consent, but I'll give a brief overview on my thoughts on that. Consent is an enthusiastic yes, just as boundaries hopefully are. But you can begrudgingly accept boundaries, once again, if you don't agree with them, but consent is different. In terms of intimacy, consent is a big part in boundaries, right? Unless you explicitly say enthusiastically, hey, I'm consenting to you, blank, that's great. And if you don't do that, then that's not great, because then those boundaries aren't being met in terms of, comfortability, in terms of, I guess comfortability and I guess legality. But legality trumping morality is a dumb argument, but that's another thing that's unrelated to that. But anyways, good morals is following other people's consent. That's just straight up. I hope we can all agree on that. And good morals besides that is respecting someone's boundaries and respecting that sometimes someone may be uncomfortable when you act a certain way, and trying to, make their life as best as possible without changing something that's innate to you. For example, someone can really hate black people. That's a really big jump. But, it's not like, you're not going to respect someone's boundary there because that's bigoted and racist, right? Like, why would you respect someone's racist boundaries like that? Their opinion is stupid, even if even if that opinion should be, held no matter what, because freedom of speech or something like that. Because racism is actually protected by the freedom of speech, but, discrimination from a corporation is not. That's grounds for, I think, like a civil lawsuit or something like that if they don't hire you based off of race, right? That's discrimination based off race. But someone can discriminate you by, calling you a slur based off your race, and that's protected by the First Amendment. So that's an interesting thing, and that's why you would follow someone else's boundaries and say that, hey, I understand that words have a lot of meaning and the way I act can affect somebody even if I don't see the significance. And that's why I should respect you and your boundaries and make sure you're happy and comfortable. Now, this is just becoming a rant and I feel like I'm repeating a lot of stuff. So I hope that's everything, and I'll probably touch more on consent later on. But that's all I have to share. So I hope you have a wonderful week, and goodbye.